With the reveal trailers, gameplay showcases, and blog posts over, the community has a decent view of how zombies will play this year. We still have plenty to explore and test with, of course, with things like acquisitions and the new revamped systems of how we get armor and weapon tiers. While I am going to talk about my complaints and thoughts on these systems, this video isn't just me whining and wanting them removed. This game is already set in stone on how it'll function, so this video is more of an analysis on how these systems can grow and change for the future of zombies. The core reason that I have issues with certain features comes down to two things: micromanagement and the power curve. The armor system is the first offender of these. I've never liked armor even since World War II zombies. A way to increase how many hits you can take is already in zombies and has been since the first game. It's Juggernog. The only other feature in zombies that also lets you take extra hits is the buildable shield, which is a feature I love. While it may seem hypocritical to like one over the other, there's still a major difference between the two. With the shield, you have to work for it in a way that's more engaging than opening up a menu. You have to find the parts and build it yourself. And yes, I know armor is now a wall buy, which is an improvement to the system, but it's still overall a poor system. The shield also doesn't make you overpowered. I'm throwing a number out there, but you can't suddenly take 10 more hits. You can block damage from behind you or in front of you if you pull the shield around. This still doesn't make you a beast who can take more hits, because you can't use your gun if you have your shield pulled out in front of you. The shield does let you make plays you may not normally be able to make. Let's say you're about to be trapped in a corner, and you're already one hit away from being downed. You see a small opening on the side, just small enough that you might be able to squeeze your way through it and make it out alive, but only if you position yourself right and use the shield to tank a hit. Now, is somebody who just got the game going to be able to do that? Probably not, but the shield is still useful to them. It's a mechanic that rewards new ways of thinking. You can use it just to protect your back if you're going through a bit of a sketchy doorway, or if you're smart and you've played the game a lot, you might know, oh, I'm cornered, I need to turn around and think of what to do to get out of this mess while my shield tanks all the hits for me. With armor, it's a 360-degree field of protection. That lets you worry way less about positioning. There's very few circumstances where positioning isn't important in zombies, and that's within a very strict set of rules. The two perks that immediately come to mind are Winter's Wail and Widow's Wine. Both of these send a blast that slow and prevent zombies from hurting you for a while after you get hit, but these are limited to about 3 uses each. Widow's only works once per grenade you have, and Winter's has a recharge time before it gets another use. These perks let you play a lot more carelessly, but only for a limited time before you have to go back to focusing. So if you want to use them well, use them like get out of jail free cards whenever you happen to slip up. Maybe you misjudged how many zombies were in a doorway. Maybe you were trying to get some ammo off the wall mid-round. These perks don't let you live forever and make any mistakes you want, but it's a limited safety net for when you miscalculate or misjudge an action. Armor is always a get out of jail free card. It makes the game way too forgiving, especially with how modern zombies plays, with damage scaling and how much freedom of movement there is with mantling, and especially now with omni movement. Now, the micromanagement isn't great with armor either. I understand there's always a little micromanagement in games, but armor has always and still has these issues. In World War II and Cold War, running to the armor machine whenever you ran out was always annoying. Cold War improved a little bit with pickups that will repair armor a bit, and Carpenter's now fully repairing armor. But why, for the love of God, do we have to manually plate up now? Seriously, this is abysmal. In Warzone, it makes sense. When you plate up, you're getting ready to fight another player who is also probably plating up. You're trying to get an upper hand on the other player, and they are too. In zombies, I don't need to prepare to take out a horde. There's also no breaks in zombies. In multiplayer, when you get in between fights, it makes sense. You kill a player, you replate back up. Even if you're in the middle of a fight, if you even get a small break, you take that moment to replate back up so you're better off than the other player. In zombies, it's horde after horde after horde, and it's not like you need to worry about the zombies plating up. If you've got a horde, it's always gonna be the same horde. They're not gonna regain health, and you get a small break in between rounds. It makes no sense after killing one horde of zombies where zombies are immediately spawning again after each kill to be plating up in between that. It doesn't give you enough time, and it ruins the flow of hoarding. The only time armor ever can make even a modicum of sense is boss fights, but even then, I'd rather just have a normal shield. Not only can shields be thematic of the map, but it also makes sense for what zombies is. It's about survival. You're scavenging for weapons off the wall in this mysterious box. You're finding random strewn about metal bits around the map and hoping you can slam it together to create some sort of protection on your back. The shield overall feels like a much better option. You can consider things like part spawns and having to get a new one every time it breaks to be an issue, but to me, these seem like reasonable constraints so that it's not just immediately overpowered and you can instantly tank like 20 zombie hits. My second biggest gripe is the loadout system. This one tends to be a touchy topic, so let's work through it. I thought it was a neat feature in Cold War, but it quickly became a wrench in the machine. It's very useful for the camo grind, but other than that, I think it's just too much of a power creep that early in the game. Black Ops 4 also had a selection of starting guns, but the only reason I think people didn't get mad at that I can remember, I don't really remember if it was a big issue, was that the weapons were all still weak starting guns, and one of the best weapons was just a pistol. It isn't that I want to start out with a pistol, because that's the average response. It's that everyone starts out on an even playing field being weak and easily down. It also completely gets rid of the use for the mystery box and wall buy guns. In any zombies before Cold War, there was basically two ways to get better weapons. Wall buys never had anything amazing, but they made do in a tight pinch. So the real goal for weapons was the mystery box. This added a whole slew of choices on how to play. Do you buy a wall buy early to have extra protection but take longer to open the map and progress? Or do you depend on your skill with nothing but a pistol with less than max ammo, trying to maximize points so you can buy a path to the mystery box to hopefully be rewarded with a better gun straight away? I was always a fan of option 2, and it cost me quite a few times. But there's even more choice. You've made it to the box and you start spinning. Maybe you get a good gun right away, or even a wonder weapon. But if you get something just meh, you have to decide, do you keep hitting the box, hoping to get a better weapon, or do you just deal with what you've been dealt, and start trying to save up for things like perks and opening up the rest of the map? The great thing is, there is no wrong or right answer, and it's solely up to how you want to play, and the little gambler in me says to spin again and again and again until I'm ready to go out and get... Oh, it's now around 20 and I have no perks. Okay, some options might be smarter than others, but I mean, they really nailed the addicting sounds and lights when I hit the box. What else am I supposed to do? There's another route you can go with the box, but I'll get into that later when a related topic comes up. Another big issue with loadouts, it also gets rid of any fear factor. In a map like Origins, having a good gun soon is very important, with the Panzer always spawning in on round 8. The choice of whether to open up the map until you reach a decent wall buy or blow everything on the box doesn't happen with loadouts. You also never run the risk of forgetting the big bad Panzers appearing. Everyone remembers their first time playing Origins because of this. You don't know he's coming, so maybe you've opened some of the map, but you're still holding out on a good box weapon, and guess what? Suddenly this boss is on you, and he's just eating every bullet. Now it's a high-stakes race to find something that will suffice and take him out. Why ever worry about what's to come if your starting weapon is also your final weapon? Now on this topic, the gunsmith coming back, so whatever gun you buy off the wall or get from the box has whatever attachments you want, is a great returning feature. It makes all guns more viable, especially when they're customized to your playstyle. All in all, having any weapon to choose from at the start of the game gets rid of that power curve, decision making, and especially makes those first few rounds a slog with how easy it becomes. Now on to Rarity and Pack-a-Punch. Overall, the system is not that bad on its own. I'll delve more into it later, but the biggest gripe with the system in Cold War is just how much it altogether extends that grind. The rarity system is the biggest example though. If you really look at it, it's just double tap with extra steps. There's not much else I can say about it. It's weaker than Pack-a-Punch, but it makes just a big enough of a difference that it becomes mandatory. With all salvage being put towards rarity now, and it only being one type of salvage overall, this system very well may be a better feature in Black Ops 6. Even after, it's still not a great feature, and I've realized it's because it breaks the zombies formula. When you gain power in zombies, it's often one small thing at a time, and it all adds up. Getting a gun, getting a perk, grabbing a gobble gum, getting a shield, pack-a-punching a gun. All of these are single-step upgrades where you do something once and you're stronger because of it. The only thing that technically breaks this is pack-a-punch because you have to get a gun beforehand, while the rest just requires points or it's just a part. But even then, it's not a journey to do that. With rarity, you don't have time or resources to upgrade 2 guns at once. This once again makes loadouts even stronger. You bring in the gun you want, only focus on getting it to max rarity, and never bother hitting the box or buying a wall buy because In the end, it won't be nearly as strong as the gun you've been continuously working on. I've never really stuck with one gun in zombies unless it was like a wonder weapon that I always had just in case. Cycling guns isn't the most important aspect of zombies, but it's definitely an aspect that plays a decent sized role. And with how scarce ammo is looking to be in Black Ops 6 from what the YouTubers have been saying, it seems like they're trying to push the survival aspect of zombies, of grabbing a gun and using it into its last bullet and then throwing it to the side and trying to get a better one from the box, getting another one off the wall, just trying to survive with anything you can for as long as possible before you have to get something better or just something newer that has more ammo. The same goes for Pack-a-Punch. With 3 tiers now, it costs way too many points to work on Pack-a-Punching 2 guns at the same time. Double tap should just return at this point because it simplifies all of that. People are often confusing the love for old games as a love for complexity. And while yes, there is something to appreciate in the inner workings of past games that don't appear elsewhere, the repeated buildup of rarity, armor, and Pack-a-Punch is a draining task at this point when it used to be a rather simple evolution of power curve. New players often see the older games and they're afraid of the complexity, but a lot of the complexity is just that it doesn't hold your hand. Cold War does a lot of hand holding. In the older zombies, if you wanted to get stronger, you bought perks, you Pack-a-Punched, maybe you grabbed the wonder weapon. All of these are just single actions to make you stronger overall. Now, the game guides you to Pack-a-Punch. It points out the rarity system. It's now a tier system where you're just coming back to it over and over. Before Black Ops 4 introduced tiers to Pack-a-Punching, I can't name a single feature where I had to repeatedly do it to get better and better until I was at max power. Every perk does something unique. It never affects another. You never go back and buy the perk again. Pack-a-Punch was a one and done deal. If you did it a second time, it changed attachments. In Black Ops 3, Pack-a-Punching a second, third, or even fourth time didn't make your gun stronger necessarily. It gave you an ammo effect that would periodically activate. Imagine how crazy it would be if you had to buy Juggernog 4 or 5 times to get the max effect from it. Oh wait, Vanguard exists! I don't know if it's just me, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone in the zombies community praise a upgrade tier system where you're coming back multiple times throughout the match to do the same thing. Now, what I'm gonna say next might surprise you, but to Vanguard's credit, now wait with me, it has one of the best tier systems implemented in zombies. That doesn't mean it's great, it means it did it the best. I will never like the repeated upgrades of tiers, but with Vanguard's field upgrades, they made it unique. For something like Aether Shroud, at level 2, your weapon was automatically reloaded when you activated it. At level 4, you gained movement speed and the duration extended. Now let me rephrase this. I never like the tier system, but if we're gonna keep using it, make it like this. In older zombies, a lot of guns had unique things. If you Pack-a-Punch the Olympia, you got fire bullets. Imagine if tier 2 of the Pack-a-Punch gave you fire rounds on a shotgun. Imagine when you Pack-a-Punch a sniper twice, you get a headshot, that zombie's head explodes, quite literally in an explosion that damages zombies around it. Imagine you triple pack an LMG, and guess what happens? You start firing, if you hold down fire, the gun gets more accurate, and it starts firing quicker. That brings back the unique feeling of Pack-a-Punching a gun for the first time and not exactly knowing what you're gonna get from it. It also makes that repeated action feel like it has more of an effect behind it, and it's not just some hidden number stat going up. I'll only talk about perks for a short moment because I really don't have much of an issue with them. I think the increasing in price as you buy perks takes away a bit of the personality of each perk in a way. In older games, if you really wanted something like Mule Kick, you really had to just take a second and grind up all 4,000 of those points. I also don't like the new Wonder Fizz entirely. Being able to buy any and all perks at once makes it so there's no risk reward like the old games of spending the money and maybe getting a perk for cheaper. And there's no reason to remember what the perks are if the Wonder Fizz has them already at all times. Finally, I'm not a huge fan of the perk limit. I think it was great in Cold War, and I don't think they should necessarily just remove it. I don't really have an answer to solving it, but I do prefer Black Ops 1's and Black Ops 2's way of doing it, where each map has a unique way to get every perk. Even if they keep the no perk limit, having some sort of challenge or side quest so that you can get free perks repeatedly would be great. Cold War kinda had some of this with the free jug by doing the bunny Easter egg on each map, but I'd prefer something like Black Ops 2 where, let's say it's the jumping jack round on Die Rise. If you kill all the jumping jacks with only melee or traps and you don't shoot your gun at all, you get a free perk and a max ammo. And this can be repeated until you have all the perks in the map. This adds unique challenge to certain aspects of the game, and you get to reward the player for going out of their way to play in a more difficult playstyle. So I've brought up the power curve a few times, and here's one problem with it. There's no risk. Armor is a wall buy with no animation. Pack-a-Punch is instant, perks let you keep your gun out, and Rarity is just a boring menu. For some reason, people on Twitter seem to really resent the whole Pack-a-Punch animation, and I've never understood why. I made a lower quality video a while back when I was just starting out, and this was one of the main topics in it. The Pack-a-Punch is such a major and important upgrade that it has to have some sort of risk reward to it. You are giving up your weapon temporarily to get a major upgrade. It's a moment of going from capable to completely incapable to suddenly incredibly powerful. The time limit of Pack-a-Punch being able to take your gun if it's left in there for too long is also a great punishment for players who don't think before taking action. While I don't like armor, imagine if it was the same. Instead of a wall buy, it was a work table with a dummy from Cold War. You go up and give up your armor. You can still fight now, but you're much weaker while the dummy works. But if you planned it right, or even if you fought through it all, a few seconds later, you get it back and you're even stronger now. In zombies, you're never really supposed to have a feeling of safety. I shouldn't just be able to run up to the Pack-a-Punch and just feel like, oh, I can kind of just play this however I want because I've got armor protecting me and it's instant. Zombies has always been that feeling of danger and death lurking just around the corner. One slip up and the zombies might get you. Even with some of the best wonder weapons in the game, the lightning bow, the fire staff, the apothecant servant, you can still die with these if you're playing carelessly. It also makes it so the power curve isn't just a straight line up. There's moments of weakness, moments where you have to plan out a course of action or hope you can play well enough to survive in a dangerous situation. The power curve is also incredibly long now. You now work up getting perks, rarity, Pack-a-Punch, AATs, and armor. That's leaving out things like wonder weapons and score streaks as well. Those are also all multi-part steps, with armor, Pack-a-Punch, and rarity having multiple upgrade tiers. A long setup time or power curve isn't inherently bad, and it can be used well sometimes, but when it's every match you play has the same exact long power curve, it gets annoying. Imagine if every map in Zombies was like Origins, where you had to slowly open up the entirety of the map, working on power as you go along. You have to find parts to the wonder weapons multiple times and then upgrade them through multiple steps. As Kevin Drew himself once said, sometimes you just want to hop on and kill some zombies. In Kino der Toten, it really doesn't take long to have access to everything in the map, but in a game of Origins, it's gonna take you an hour to be fully set up. In older games, it was based on what you had to do in the map to be fully set up. Now it's based on this tier system that takes forever no matter what map you're on. If it had just been like one of these features, I don't think it would be nearly as big as an issue. If it was just one thing, just armor, just rarity, just Pack-a-Punch tiers, maybe it wouldn't be that bad, but with all of them having these lines you have to go through, it just gets annoying. It takes even longer now when you consider the point system. You have to buy perks, armor, and Pack-a-Punch, which all increase in price as you acquire more and move up the tiers. With the way points work now, there is no way to finesse the system to maximize how quickly you can build up your wealth. Going back to loadouts in the box, it also makes weaker point guns non-existent. Why grab some SMG that takes 30 shots to kill a zombie when you get points based on kills now and not every bullet that hits? I get that Kevin Drew's brother apparently got bullied because he wasn't maximizing points, but that's a community problem. It shouldn't become a punishment for the people who take the time to learn the deeper mechanics of the game and learn how to maximize those mechanics. It sadly feels like Zombies is moving away from having mechanics that have a lot of depth to them and can change how you play if you understand those mechanics more. In Cold War, it felt like there was a very right or wrong way to play the game. No in between, no in-depth mechanics, no way to maximize your efforts to be rewarded. One example of this was the Wonder Fizz skip on D Machine. If you don't know, I was the original person who posted about this. Somebody may have found it before me, but I had posted it on the COD Zombie subreddit. I know, dangerous place to be. And it had gained some traction. Later, the YouTube channel COD Zombies HQ, which I'm a big fan of, picked up on this. He went ahead and featured my clip on his channel, and quite frankly, butchered my name.
When trying to get back up on your feet when going down here in Zombies, the Butchka Games posted up this clip to the COD Zombies Reddit that shows a sick tactic for getting the effects of Wonder Fizz without actually having to go up to the roof of Nocturne and Toten and interacting with the machine.
But still, nonetheless, that video got over 200,000 views. That was one of the only in-depth mechanics in the game I could think of, and it got patched out shortly after. The last thing I'll talk about is quite the doozy. It's the HUD and aura. The HUD is a mess to me. At most, 3 corners of the screen should be taken up. One for the weapon info like ammo, grenades, and the field upgrade, another corner for the round, and finally one for player stats. Perks, points, and salvage should all easily be put into one corner, and seeing teammates' health, player number, and armor is completely unnecessary. You will never catch me playing zombies with friends and giving a call out like, "Yo, I just noticed that zombie broke your final armor plate. You might want to plate up again so you don't risk downing." Who in their right mind needs to see that info? It's a crazy amount of extra clutter. Just show me their points so I know if they're holding out on me when they refuse to buy the next door. I've also seen plenty of fan-made HUDs that do a way better job of conveying info to the player while also making it feel like zombies instead of just a copy and paste of a Warzone HUD. One of the best examples of this comes from a YouTuber called Replay Mode. He made a custom HUD for zombies in an hour, and it looks amazing. I love it. The blood splatter, the dirty grime to it. Please, go watch his video, because he explains it way better than I do for what he was going for. I genuinely love this HUD. Finally, I'll talk about map aura. Everyone seems to have the same consensus that Terminus Island looks neat, and Liberty Balls looks like balls. The issue is that everything is on the Modern Warfare engine, and that engine excels at one thing: the color gray. I've made this comparison in a video before with Modern Warfare 2019, and it still holds up today. There is no color in modern CODs. Everything has a washed over gray. That's why Liberty Falls looks so bad. The only reason I think Terminus looks good is because it's at night, so the lighting is controlled by these soft lights that are reflecting off the map and bouncing color around. I saw a post on the subreddit, and all it did was take Liberty Falls and turn some of the saturation up. I went ahead and tried the same thing. It looks way better like this. All the map needs is just a bit more color. There's even a part in the trailer for the map where there gets a slight orange filter over everything, and the map already looks better. It has a theme now. It's now orange instead of just gray. It's not even a zombies issue at this point. It's just a COD issue at this point. I don't like this engine. Why do we keep using it? Liberty Falls isn't too far off from the map Goa Crovy, and in Goa Crovy, the colors pop and shine like crazy, while in Liberty Falls, it's almost like it's yelling in our face that there can be no fun and creativity, and everything has to look as real as possible. The map also has little to no confinement, where you can really focus in on a theme or have a room be based on a color. It's just a wide open gray square. The only part of the map that looks amazing is of course the Dark Aether. Even though it looks great, if you compare it to something like Revelations where it's spacey and colorful and bright, Revelations wins every time. The Dark Aether could easily get away with just purple, but because of the Modern Warfare engine, it really doesn't look like much other than an LED light being flashed everywhere. Even if there is some underground complex, or the theory from Stanley557 comes true, and the map becomes completely Dark Aetherfied, the main issue will always be this engine, and until we leave this whole realism is the only way ideology, I don't think maps will ever look like Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4 ever again. I'd much rather have something colorful and unique than something that looks bland but slightly more realistic and photoreal. The final issue I have with Aura is there's no zombie specific indicators. If you think back to old game maps like Verrucht, Shangri-La, Buried, Shadows, and Dead of the Night, they all have something in common. Something happened there. These maps are not the craziest from their respective games, but they all convey great aura. We have an asylum, a jungle, a town underground, a city, and a mansion. All of these places are not that crazy of locations, but they all have a past to them. Verrucht has obvious signs of war and struggle, with jars filled with parts of humans and blood coating the walls. Shangri-La has a temple and remnants of a civilization while also having modern parts to it, like the minecart in the research room with the 115 on the table. Buried is a classic dead western town, but with actual dead in it, and ghost witches in a looming mansion that watches the town. Both Shadows of Evil and Dead of the Night are relatively normal places until you look around and you start noticing all the occult and Cthulhu-esque theming, along with the story of some sort of zombie outbreak going on. Liberty Falls does look like something happened, but it doesn't look like something interesting or zombies related happened. It looks like the town from the ending of Sonic 2. There's nothing that really screams the zombies aesthetic of an outbreak with plenty of bodies strewn about, and now you have to deal with the aftermath. Add something like piles of bodies. Have the church's portal to the dark ether spread into the map with vines or purple cracks in the ground. I'm also worried about the theming of these future maps. Cold War was a facility in the woods, a facility in the jungle, a facility in the city, and a facility in the woods again, but this time you can't explore the woods at all. So far with Black Ops 6 we have a facility on a few islands, and possibly a facility in a town. The reason being, we can't have wild stuff that ruins the campaign or multiplayer story, and that is nothing but a shitty situation. I get the story has to have outbreaks coming from a reasonable source like a facility, but imagine a map where an outbreak happened in a museum because of some ancient artifacts becoming active, or just going crazy and having some location like a Japanese temple. After all this, I know it seems like I'm grumpy and just expect the game to fail or this and that, but truly I am excited for this year of zombies. I also definitely enjoyed Cold War. Some of the new systems seem really cool, and I'm hoping that the team can deliver something truly special to us this year. All of what I say is coming from a fan of the series who just wants to say what he thinks would be best for the series. It's not that I don't want to see innovation either. Things like augments seem cool, and I have nothing against them. It's just these returning systems that I feel like didn't work the first time are being pointlessly tried again, where they could be focusing on other creative ideas for the mode. This video was definitely a long one, and I haven't done a video like this in a hot minute, so let me know what you think in the comments. What did you agree with, and what did you not agree with? And why might you think that way? I want to hear what y'all think about some of these ideas, and what better solutions you might have to problems that I couldn't really think of. And that's where the script ends. Now I just want to kind of talk for a moment. Please check out anyone I mentioned in this video. All these people are great people for the zombies community. I love all of their videos. They're all really good and well made, better than mine. And I do mean it when I say I hope this year's COD is great and I don't expect it to be bad. I realize this video wasn't really a video about my thoughts on Black Ops 6, more of my thoughts on the returning features of Cold War, but I can't really say what I think of Black Ops 6 because I haven't played it yet. All things are subject to change. Anything different could happen. I don't really know right now. If you did enjoy this video, go ahead and subscribe if you'd like to. Just know, this is not my usual type of content. I normally just do funny moments with friends, and I definitely plan on doing a lot with Black Ops 6, hopefully if that plans out well. Every now and then, I just get that little energy to really just yap away about something stupid like this. Most of the time when I do, it is about zombies. And if you want to see more, there are more videos like this on my channel, all of them lower quality. Trust me, I would know. I can't really think of much else to say, so all in all, have a good one.